Today is Monday, February 16, 2026. I'm Tom Worth. Wanted to talk today about Marco Rubio in Europe for the Munich Security Conference, and then in Central Europe yesterday and today. And I'm not seeing the relief I was hoping for. He didn't come over and say they were going to invade Greenland. He didn't come over and do what J.D. Vance did a year ago in Munich. But if you listen to his speech Saturday morning, our time here in the States, I have found nothing encouraging about that. He continued to reference President Trump at every turn. He emphasized the shared European Christian roots. I am Catholic, as many of you know. I'm very devout. You have to have a separation of church and state. You have to have every religion available to whoever wants to practice it, or no religion at all should be forced upon anyone at the national level. That's what I believe. That's what this country was founded on. I imagine that some of our non-European partners in the world, India, Japan come to mind, Korea certainly, they were probably pretty horrified looking at Rubio's attempt to mend fences and repair blown up bridges with our European forefathers, because he found it hard to mention our shared ethnic history with Europe. He found it hard to separate that with Christianity, and that was on purpose. This was a very well thought out speech, a very crafted speech by him. I did not see Stephen Miller's fingerprints all over this like I do with J.D. Vance's talking points, that in itself was encouraging. Marco Rubio is in no way encouraging, but the absence of Stephen Miller's influence lately for the last several weeks now is really encouraging to me. That said, the leaders of Denmark and Greenland do not feel any better about Trump's designs on Greenland. That was some kind of behind closed door remarks, apparently. And I certainly didn't. He didn't back off of that at all. All he does is take credit at every turn for making the EU stronger, for really making NATO stronger. That's all President Trump's doing, is making NATO stronger. And look where they were, and they weren't spending money, and now they are on their own defense. I'm sorry, but that is no different in my mind than if Vladimir Putin were to stand up in front of Europe and say, look how strong I've made Ukraine. Look at them. Their military was untested and their air defenses were, and look what I've made them do now. Aren't I great? All I wanted to do was make Ukraine stronger. That's all Trump and Rubio are doing. Whenever they thought NATO would crumble. They really, really believed it. Trump thought it back in his first term when he was trying to rip NATO at every turn. He thought that insisting on making them spend more money would make them fold. It would make them say, no, we're not going to do that, when he was talking about going from 2 to 3%. But then they did. And then he went from, oh, well, that's not enough. You got to go to 5%. And guess what? Then a lot of Europe did go to 5%. They have committed to 5%. And some of them are actually hitting those targets already. When I look at nations like Poland and Finland, Germany's getting up to speed, the UK's getting up to speed. This is the last thing that Vladimir Putin wanted. And this is the last thing that Trump wants, because he just wants the ability to tell Europe what to do, to push them around, to say, you have to take our tariffs. Now Europe is going to go off and they're going to do their deals with India. They're going to do their deals with Canada, do their deals with China. And it cuts Trump out of all this. It cuts American industry out of all this. I think the defense industrial complex is pretty safe for now in the U.S. I saw the head of Finland in a panel saying they just signed a deal for more F-35s from Lockheed Martin. You've got to have those, I guess. I believe they do. They're not there yet. Europe isn't. I know the Swedish fighters are trying to catch up. They're not there yet. But Marco Rubio sitting up there and not, I'm sorry, I do not think he provided any comfort or reassurance to Europeans at all. I guess there is a chance he could have come in and said, Trump changed his mind again. He is going to take over Greenland. I guess there was that remote possibility, but what he said just it was not reassuring at all. And then, if you had any doubts about his true intentions, he goes to Slovakia, he goes to Hungary, and those are Central European nations who are two of Trump's closest allies, two of Putin's closest allies, certainly. Viktor Orban is a thorn in the side of the EU. The EU needs unanimous consent on a lot of things, and Viktor Orban will always block things or threaten to block things if he doesn't get something out of it for Hungary personally. He's very much like a U.S. congressperson in that respect. They will hold up the entire show for something for their state or for their congressional district, whatever it may be. They'll hold up the whole nation's plan for their one little area. And that's what Orban tries to do. They have an election coming up. I didn't know they really had legitimate elections still, but in Hungary in April. And Marco Rubio is outright campaigning for Viktor Orban today in Budapest, appearing on the podium with him and saying, basically, I don't know if we have to even say basically, he was literally endorsing Viktor Orban for another presidential term. He's been president since 2010. This is something that is a no-no for foreign nations. It's supposed to be. Even the hint of it, even the appearance of it, sends people into panic mode, whether it's your election being interfered with or you're the one being accused of election interference. This is something that nations ought to be allowed to do on their own, and Trump meddles in them. He has Marco Rubio very much meddling in this Hungary election. He will have the U.S. meddling in Israel's election later this year. He did in Argentina's election already. So this is it is a new world order. That is something that Rubio was honest about. We're destroying the old world order and we're replacing it with something more to President Trump's liking. He often says President Trump. He doesn't say himself. He doesn't say the United States or America. He says President Trump's wishes. President Trump is trying to do this. President Trump's trying to do that. Such a bootlicker. but also I think in the back of his mind, he is subliminally thinking to himself, this is not something that is in America's interest. It's only in Trump's interest. He very much has his eye on his own presidential run in 2028. So does J.D. Vance. The gloves will be off for that one. Trump may or may not endorse one of them. I don't know. I could see him letting them fight it out and bloody each other just so he can say neither one of them are as well loved as he was by his base. I don't know how all that's going to go. But I do know that Marco Rubio is no friend to Europe, and Donald Trump is no friend to Europe. And if Munich taught us anything this weekend, it's that Europe has to continue on the course they have set for themselves over the past year, which is forge new alliances, forge new supply chains, forge new trade agreements, build their own defenses as quickly as they can. Do not consider the United States as an ally. You have to look at them as an adversary at this point. They're not going to say that, but you could tell with some of them. Some of them were more diplomatic than others, but you could tell with some of them how skeptical they were, with the eye rolling, and they just, I think they get it, and I love that they get it. I know Canada gets it, and people like Modi in India, I don't think he trusts Trump as far as he can throw him. About the only people that do are Putin and Orban, and that's not a large set of friends to try to rule the world with. So I don't think he's going to get very far. But that's what I think about what happened in Munich this weekend and then in Central Europe yesterday and today with Marco Rubio. And we'll see how all of this plays out. That's it for now. If you would, give it a like, give it a subscribe, or a share. I'd like to see in the comments here if I am off base on my Europe read, because I did see early headlines that Europe was breathing a sigh of relief and Rubio put them at ease, and that's not what everyone's saying, but that is certainly not how I saw it at all. I just saw this as him trying to talk them down off the ledge a little bit, but I don't see him backing off anything that J.D. Vance and Trump are trying to get done. So that's it. We will talk to you all tomorrow. Have a good night. See ya.